All right, everybody, and welcome back to another Throwback Thursday. You got Brian and Ronnie coming at you again today. So we had to get down here again today because last week we talked about a property that basically it was a great property, just in a bad location. We're going to talk about the exact opposite today, where it was a good location, super weird property though. Could not figure out what was going on with this. I remember Ronnie called me when he was walking this property to talk to the seller and stuff, walking through it Brian, I don't know what's going on with it. I can't count the bedrooms. I don't know which one's considered bed. It was just weird. It had a weird layout. It was kind of back off the road a little bit too. It was I don't know. It was
600 feet between the street and the house. It was like, what is this? It's almost like a country driveway.
Street view of the house is you can't see it. It's back in the distance and all this stuff like that. So, but we were able to. But it was a good location. It was a good part of town to where. Hey, like we said last week, it was all, it was a decent part of town for a buy and hold, but it was too close to the interstate. So you could hear that noise, you could hear that kind of traffic, you could maybe get some trash in front of the lot. So to consider that, this was the opposite of basically hey, this is a house that we usually don't buy. It's it doesn't look as, as solid. It's kind of a little weird. Can't figure out the layout, but it's in a good part of town. It was in the Little Flower area. Kind of one of the up and coming neighborhoods, a lot of 2-1s around there, a lot of families that are, or startups, people that have just got married or buying houses there, off the market and things like that. So that's kind of your typical, just 2-1 ranch that's in these areas. Ronnie gets into this one expecting it to be a 2-1 like all the other ones in the area. I don't know and stuff like that. But we're like, well, let's give it a try because we know it's in a good area. We know it's in a desirable area where people are going to want to do renovations. You're going to be able to sell something on the market after you renovate it. It's going to be able to be a quick flip or a decent buy and hold that's going to have appreciation down the line. So those are the things we're considering, even though we didn't really like the house. So yeah. Ronnie, when you're walking through that and thinking about that, what are some of the things that you're kind of, like we just said, we talked about last week with that Paris property, it was a great house. It was a solid house. Your typical oh, this is a house. I know because I'm walking in it. It's exactly what everything is. This one, it's like a maze when you're walking through it and stuff.
Yeah, no, it definitely was like a maze. But I just remember just walking around and trying to take pictures of it. I'm like, I said, this is so weird. I mean, even in the back of the house, there was an alley that was there. But I just kept trying to think, okay, well, who would buy this home? Is this still going to make sense? The fact that it was clean, that had something going for it. But it was one of those ones well, because it's vacant, just take a risk. Let's just see. It wasn't a whole lot of pushing and pulling, fighting, and the people we worked with on it, they did a really good job of just working, trying to get the property vacant. We were getting ready to close. There were 3 pit bulls that were there that weren't supposed to be. Like, somebody please get the dogs. But so we were able to kind of work it out. But even on the inside, I just kept walking, thinking, you know what, this is probably going to be, even though it was said it was a 2-bedroom, I think it's really more like a 1 and 2 dens. But it ended up working out okay. It had a space for wash and dryer. So I just kept kind of highlighting the good of the property, even though it was kind of funky. Still saying, you know what, there's some potential here. Yes, the ceilings are low, but there's a clean kitchen. We understand where the bedroom is. And someone's going to buy this one. This is okay to take a risk on it.
Yeah. And what Ronnie said right there is he's something that, he's willing to take a risk on a little bit. He's kind of highlighting the positives of this house versus kind of dwelling on the downfalls or the things that maybe could go wrong or being skeptical about it. And why could he do that right now? Because we sold it this month, so that the market's hot. The market is still doing really well. So we were able to maybe take a risk on something that maybe we wouldn't have. So back in April or March or something like that, maybe 2 years ago we wouldn't have bought it, or we wouldn't have got this under contract for this amount. But knowing what the market is doing now, that it is a hot market, knowing that this is a desirable area, yeah, let's take a risk. Let's see what happens. We ended up making about, I think, $10,000 on this one from getting under contract to the sale. So decent property for us. Went pretty quickly and stuff like that. But just knowing the factors, knowing the considerations, and then also Ronnie was able to use that kind of in the negotiations of oh, okay, hey, this is a weird layout. So, my investors I'm working with, they're going to kind of be looking at this. It's going to be trying, they're going to have to fix some stuff up. We're going to have to put, we're going to have to do a lot of value add to make this house to where it is. So having that conversation, talking that with the seller, he's able to maybe get that, he's able to get it at a little lower price because he was communicating that, knowing what he had to do with it and what the investors had to do with it and stuff. So awesome job, man. So basically two houses that we've done this week and last week, kind of the same thing. The house last week was better. Bad location. House this week was a little bit worse. but good location. So
Great.
you take the one and put it on the other, it's like, that's our avatar. That's either, that's what we're looking for and stuff like that. So good properties to talk about, good properties to kind of reminisce on and do little throwback Thursdays for you guys. If you have any questions, need anything at all, need us to help you kind of look at a deal or anything like that, or have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. It's Ronnie at simplewholesaling.com or Brian at simplewholesaling.com. More than happy to help you guys out. Take care.